Hey, welcome back to another episode of Heavy Rotation. In the studio tonight, we got Jeffrey Nothing. He's well known in the metal scene worldwide, particularly, hometown hero out of Cleveland, Ohio. Going all the way back to Purgatory, legendary Cleveland speed metal band, on to solo work with Hatrix, and of course the Mushroom Head, and continuing on to do more solo work with under Hatrix, continuing that, and under currently Jeffrey Nothing. So we'll get right into it, man. I really appreciate you coming out and being here with us tonight.
It's good to come out and do this. Appreciate the invitation.
Thank you. And first and foremost, shout out to Corey Bing from Fistula, who also came on the show and has been so kind to, recommend people like Jeff and Curran Murphy to come on to the show. I truly appreciate that. So, I really think what's important in these interviews is to really touch on, what you currently have going on. As I mentioned, you have a rich history and many years into this. But just from my own observation, I know you have a pretty lengthy, a lot of dates planned with this current tour coming up.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Nothing, and some new music that's being released. So I think that'd be just a great place to start, and just let us know how things are developing with that, and what we have to look forward to in that regard.
Yeah, I was going through some health issues a while back, and I was lucky enough to have a treatment that I could do wherever I was. So instead of just sitting at home and waiting for that to pass, I talked to my co-writer Josh, who's out of Houston, and said, "Can I come down there and work on some music while I'm doing this?" And he said, "Yeah." And I flew down, and I visited the first time for like 21 days, and we got like 9 songs then. And then I went back in, that was February. I went back in April and did another like 5 or 6, and we shot a music video. And then I just got back from there again, actually, for like another 2 weeks or so. We got another 4 songs, a cover, and shot 3 music videos. And then my band is based out of Houston, other than myself and one of my other singers, and we ended up getting an agent through satellite touring, and this tour came together, and we're starting out at Incarceration on July 17th, Friday. We're on at 1 p.m., and it's going to be nice to be there. I haven't played that venue since Ink and Clink, and it's grown into a monster, and I just can't wait to get around America and eventually the world and see what people think of all these new tracks.
Right on, man. And yeah, a great way to kick it off at Incarceration. I was there, I think 2 years back. It's just massive there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, being at I believe that's where they shot the scenes for Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, I think a very big part of it. I know they built a copy of the cell area because they wanted it against the wall instead of in the middle. But otherwise, I think it was all pretty much shot there.
Excellent. So, okay, yeah, so that's interesting to know. And so these guys, or that you're working with, these cats out in Houston, so are these people that formerly lived in Cleveland, or how did you come to work with the current lineup for Jeffrey Nothing?
It's interesting. My band is going to be known as their pseudonym names in my band, but they had another. They have their own project, and they asked me to. Some of them have their own project, and they asked me to guest on a track, and that went really well. And we just kept talking, and took a couple of years to get fully in motion, but that's really the gist of it. And My guitarist, my normal writing partner, as far as Jeffrey Nothing, Tommy Churches, is taking some time off, and he's always welcome, but he's doing his own thing right now. And everybody I'm jamming with is really good musicians, and I'm really happy with where I'm at now.
That's great to hear, man. Definitely, just in the tracks I was playing before the show, I can hear. I just sort of had it on in the background, but I can hear there's a lot of good guitar work in there. So, yeah, always a good thing to be surrounded with talented musicians, as it should be.
Yeah.
You're no newcomer to this, of course. So, with the tour coming up, I had a glance at that at the dates. It seemed like you're going to be out for 2 or 3 months or so.
This initial run's about a month straight up. It starts in Houston, other than incarceration, on July 25th, and I think we finish up August 26th. But we do have other runs being routed right now as far as November, and then there's talk of something in February. So it's going to continue on for a pretty good amount of time.
Excellent. And in all your time doing this, I would imagine you've sort of streamlined that process. How are things laid out as far as you guys have a tour bus and someone that's managing everything as you head out on the road?
I mean, I have one of my members is co-managing the situation now, and we don't currently have a bus. We'll probably go with some form of camper and bunk out the back bedroom area, and it's just a work in progress. I haven't done this for about 8 years now, and we were in a van last time, and I definitely want to have something that we can sleep in instead of always having like 5 hotel rooms or whatever. Well, like a shower room's cool, but I can't really sleep in a strange place, so I like getting used to my bunk and doing that.
I hear you, and even as these words are coming out of my mouth, it's like I'm thinking to, I guess sometimes for those of us who haven't gone out and lived that life and of the touring, like it's not realizing how expensive that can be, and then you hear a lot of talk of that nowadays, that it's like very hard for bands to go out and tour.
Yeah, buses are. I wouldn't recommend owning one. It's kind of a rental situation. Just like I think like a water pump on one was like $15K when that had to be fixed on one of the ones we were renting. It's just I'll go with a Sprinter or a shuttle or something to just make it your own. And even renting vans can run into a lot of money. You're better off having some kind of vehicle that is sound and safe. But buses are really tough to own.
So as far as these new releases that are coming out, are you rolling out some singles and then leading up to an album, or what's sort of on the horizon in that regard?
Right now the idea is we're going to drop a single before Ink, and then it'll be a steady dropping of singles, and then we'll release the full album sometime in the fall. But there's albums in the works.
And I know you had mentioned at the beginning of the interview, in talking about the band being located in Houston, that you're working with a label. What was the name of the label again?
It's called Worm Group. It's actually Ulrich Weil's label. He's from Switzerland, and he's multiple times platinum. If you just look at his discography, it's pretty much anybody bigger in metal. He just recently put out New Death Clock and Static X and stuff. He's all over everything out there.
Excellent. So the full release will be coming out on the I'm gonna say one more time just so we make sure everyone hears that. What was the name of the label?
Worm Group.
Oh, Worm Group. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
All right, and then so in the writing process, with that you're located here in out of Cleveland, more or less, and these guys are in Houston. How does that take shape? Do you have like a prompt? You might say, "Hey, well, can you give me a song that sort of has this type of vibe?" Or is it more that the group is sending you songs to sort of like see if you're into the instrumental?
Yeah, when I was in Houston, I spoke with my co-writer, the main one, and told him a couple ideas I'd like to have something that's in the ballpark of, but it's mostly just he comes up with the music and I get a copy and go on my headphones on my iPad and think of some lyrics. Every once in a while we do it right in the same room together. But I've written a lot of songs back in Cleveland and tracked them on my home system, and it's just really however it can work. And at least in my case, a lot of times being in the same room all the time isn't that easy. And we worked with Jens from Meshuggah on one of the Mushroom Head songs, and we send him music and he tracked and send it back. And in a normal world of being in the same room, maybe that never would have happened.
Yeah, I think that's sort of that could be a really good thing, but also just depends on aligning schedules, and the right people might not be in. I mean, it's awesome if they are, but they might not be like your neighbors. They might be in Houston or overseas, and thankfully nowadays we could work that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you had mentioned you had some health problems, and just in us talking like pre-interview, and that you're able to get past that with changing up the way that you're eating, and just like being more active and such. In preparing to head out on the road, how have you sort of what's your game plan to keep that lifestyle intact?
Yeah, the rest of the band, they'll get pizzas and stuff like that, and just normal food more or less, and I get like vegan stuff and vegetarian at the least, and I have a booth type of sauna back home, but I bought a blanket version to use on tour. It's infrared and everything, and then I'll just walk around the venue back and forth or whatever if there's a park nearby or anything like that. Just sweating is really important, and luckily I wear a mask and a costume, so I'm pretty much guaranteed to sweat on stage too. But yeah, it's all accounted for, and I have to keep up with the routine. And happily, I like all the stuff I can eat, because it'd be sad if I didn't.
I hear you. I mean, I try to eat healthy myself nowadays, and I think it's you get used to it, and then you truly do enjoy it, and then the thinking about having like a Pop-Tart or something is just starts to seem kind of gross to you. Whereas when you're a kid, you were like, oh, can't have enough of these things, man. Like,
Petroleum tarts.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff in there.
Yeah.
So, then, aside from, everything that's going on currently, I think it'd be really cool, and I know a lot of the folks tuning in would be interested to hear, going back to like, Purgatory days, Was that sort of your first band, or was there like other bands that sort of led up to Purgatory taking shape?
Yeah, I had 3 cover bands more or less that I did a little bit of originals in. Before that, I followed a band back in the day called Fastlane, and they were all covers and played all over the place. And a friend of mine and I were both wanting to be singers, and their singer said, "Well, it's time to separate the men from the boys." And I tried out for a band called Hard Driver, and I had the flu at the audition, and I auditioned with The Ocean by Led Zeppelin, and I got the gig. And we did a couple of shows, and it was fun and everything, getting my feet wet. And then Purgatory was originally a 3-piece or three-piece at the time called Easterly, named after the drummer Kenny Easterly. And they were trying out a singer, and he was using the mic, and I was sitting on the floor, and I'm screaming the songs louder than him on the mic. And the audition ended, and they were like, "You want to sing for our band?" And we became the letter N, the letter I, the number 4, and the letter N and I again, which said an I for an I. It didn't really look like those words, but that was the gist. And we did a bunch of covers, and then we started working on originals. And somewhere along the way, I moved to Slidell, Louisiana for parts of 83 and 84, and I joined a band down there. And that was my first experience in a studio. We did a 4-song demo, and it was in the junkyard studio, and the window between the live room and the control room was the back window of a Corvette. But it was fun. I sang an original, and then the drummer sang one. Or no, the bass player sang one, and the guitarist sang one. And then we did a cover of Hot Rockin' by Judas Priest. And local DJs were like, "This can't be real. This sounds too good." But that was like the start of it. And then they decided they wanted to go back to their 3 of them. So I said, "Fine, I'm going to go home and become a rock star." And the bass player wanted to make a band called Purgatory, and I was a little bit upset, so I borrowed his name. Funny thing is, he's some kind of teacher at college level or something like that, and every year he tells my story, how I said I was going to do that, and I kind of did a little bit. But yeah, that's leading up to Purgatory. And then I have Doom Candy currently too, which is like a industrial metal project, but that was with Tommy, so kind of like a little bit of hiatus there.
Right on. And then you know, in the aftermath, or however you want to say, and then following in Purgatory, correct me if I'm wrong, but that sort of led into, you know, what the inception of Hatrix.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know, I remember being in high school and having the industry comp, you know, with Hatrix on there, and Mushroom Head and Spud Monster, you know, all legendary Cleveland bands. So how did Hatrix, you know, take shape, you know, on the sort of on the heels of Purgatory?
It was a strange sequence of events. I was actually let go from Purgatory when I started the band, and I think they wanted somebody a little more. I was kind of like in the early days of having a screamer and having a singer, and they wanted somebody a little more classic metal. I was kind of leaning hardcore a little bit, and after I was let go, I was just full of anger. A lot of the Hatrix songs were about serial killers, and we even did some Purgatory stuff and changed up the solos or whatever. But it was really cool. We ended up taking out Lamb of God, I think on their second and third tours during Mushroom Head, and they found out we used to be Hatrix. And they were like, "Why aren't you still doing that? We grew up on that stuff." And Hatrix means a lot to me. That was a really, really good time of my career, really developing who I was as a vocalist. And both of those bands could have really broke had we continued on. One of the later Hatrix shows, there was more people on the guest list than paid, and it was like, maybe this isn't the project. And then around that same time, we were doing Mushroom Head, and we played at Flashes on like a Wednesday, and then we got asked if we wanted to open for Guar, and then it was just like off to the races. We were out selling national acts at local record stores, and then labels came calling, and the rest is a little bit of metal history.
Definitely, man. That the way you just described it was definitely, me when I was in high school. That's the first thing that stuck in my head, was that every time Guar would come through, you guys were opening for them. And sort of like, I'm not sure if that was a reason why, but just making the connection of like, okay, well, this is a different band musically and lyrically, but the same theatrical, like having the masks and everything.
Mm-hmm. We actually talked about doing a run together, but then we came to realize we were pulling each other's customers because we were similar, and we tried to tour around Halloween, and that's like both of our main seasons. So we thought a lot of each other, but we knew that doing that would kind of diminish each other's profits. So we ended up doing Soundwave in Australia with them, and I became really good friends with Dave that tour. And we made a lot of plans. I was going to go to the Slave Pit and make a full-length trench coat out of like human flesh, and have basically like what looked like a zipper made out of knuckles. And we were going to do a Thin Lizzy tribute record, and we were going to tour Europe together. And after the Australia portion of the tour, I went home, and he went on to New Zealand. And then he was like a recreational drug user, but the problem with that stuff is it doesn't really discriminate, and we lost an amazing talent and a great person.
Yeah, rest in peace to Dave Brocky. And yeah, so many other great musicians. I think it's easy from the outside to just say, well, you shouldn't do hard drugs, but it's I think most people have a family member or maybe it's not, it's a person they look up to, or it touches, unfortunately it touches our lives, eventually in some capacity. So, but yeah, I have many fond memories of going to those Guar shows. And it's still cool to go, of course. And I think it's like, the original bassist, Beefcake, is the singer now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that they were able to make that happen. Yeah, for those of us that got to be there in the heyday, it was really just the pinnacle of it, and even having like Sleazy P Martini and all that. Oh, that's not something that you have. I don't believe they have that now. I think that's long gone. There was a cool documentary, I think, came a couple years ago where they went through everything. And
I'll have to look that up. I don't know if I've seen it.
Yeah, it was really one interesting thing, not to talk about Guar for the whole interview, but was that there was this big rift in the band between Techno Destructo and the actual musicians, because he was like very involved in making the costumes.
Yeah.
And sort of felt like there was just a bit of power struggle.
Yeah.
Whereas like he wasn't an actual musician, but of course the costumes are a big part of it too.
For sure.
Yeah. On that tip, throughout the years with Mushroom Head, and then, and even currently, I would imagine, you've worked with a lot of talented costume designers. Like the mask you have on now, is that something you design yourself, or you have different people you're working with? Or?
Yeah, this I'm working with a guy named Jared Smalley. He's from Deadlight Studios on Instagram. We kind of made this. It's the second version of another mask I was wearing for a little while. The original one's called All of Us. This one's kind of like a take on that. And then I have the hand mask that I designed, other than the third eye, when I was in Mushroom Head. That was made by Jason Kisner, and he really could nail the whole hands and fingers look. I brought it up to Dave Greathouse, our original guy, and it just wasn't translating somehow, but Kisner nailed it. And then I have a new version that Jared made called Doom Hands, and I have a insane version of it. It's probably being painted right now. It's out of control. It's like Evil Dead took over my hand mask, and the fingers on the head are all going to be movable, and then there's 3 eyes on my forehead, and those will follow stuff. So it's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, I try to always change it up. Like along the Mushroom Head journey, I think a lot of guys tweaked their look but didn't really come up with brand new things, and I try to do that with every album cycle, if not more than once during the album cycle, or just during the time you're doing it. But it's definitely an important part. I think some people would rather just have everybody just up there as normal people, but I think giving them a real show matters.
For sure, man. And, like, even just, I can remember back to the original Mushroom Head, you had the devil mask and the wedding dress. And
shoulder pads and elbow-length chemical gloves. And yeah, we when we first started, we would do a lot of thrift store shopping, and we went to Starship Earth and different mask places. And even back in those early days, some of the stuff was homemade, like the Green Demon, as Skinny's look was called. He won some costume contest with that and everything before the band really took off. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to have something like with the devil mask. I wanted to have something pure, or the opposite kind of thing with the wardrobe look and the wedding dress. Just came to be, and then I was at a thrift store and found the shoulder pads. And I remember we opened for Guar one time, and I told Balzac I wanted him to sign them. He's like, "You want me to sign them?" And it's like, his autograph was on them for a while. I'm not sure where those are now. But then the chemical gloves, it's like, we get so warm, and every once in a while I'd be holding my arms up like I always do, and some poor soul would be under my arms, and they'd get a nice, not happy shower of hot sweat. But things happen.
Right. Well, you should be, if you're, particularly if it was playing with Guar, they should be ready for that, because there's fake blood.
Oh, yeah.
Fake blood. And I remember the one, this was a later Guar show, I think, after Dave Brocky would have passed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But there was like a crapapult, and I mean, that it's fake, but it just was still a bit unsettling to have the fake poop land on you. It's like, oh man, at least this isn't like G.G. Allen or something. It's probably, it's probably safe. I'm probably not gonna get any diseases from that going on.
Yeah. Those guys were always tinted red. They couldn't get it off.
Right. So yeah, obviously, Mushroom Head was, a big part of your career and a milestone. One thing I just want to say, from my own connection with that music was, it was a very like profound thing to me at that time, because like all of a sudden, all my like, as they would say, like my normie, and I always try to be friends with everybody. Mm-hmm. I think that this probably still exists now, but I think the barriers are a bit removed with as far as like, when you're a youth, and it's like, well, these are the jocks, and these are the skaters, these are the band. They would call it kids in bands, like the bandos, or like the stoners, or whatever they're, and it was like, and when Marilyn Manson was really popular, there were some kids that they didn't call them goths, they would call them freaks. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I always tried my best in that time to be friends with everyone, and a lot of my, like, I guess you would say, like, jock type friends, or like, people wearing like Abercrombie and Fitch, and like people that didn't really dress like skaters or like metalheads, they would want to go to like Mushroomhead shows. And it was just crazy to me. And and after a while you just came to expect that. But I just think that was a really awesome thing, just for one, just to see a local band like blow up like you guys did. Mm-hmm. But also, like, then like next month those kids were like listening to Pantera and stuff. Like, I think, it just goes without saying that you guys really were an introductory band for so many people. Mm-hmm. And I don't know exactly why. Like, I think a big part of it was just, it was something accessible to them in their own hometown.
Yeah.
And there was hype around it. And but I think, the inclusion of the keyboards being there, and the just different elements, like having like a bit of the I guess like Faith No More, it's type of, like having like some rapping included in with like J-Man and stuff like that. It was just yeah, man, I really commend you and the rest of the people involved for that. I really think that without Mushroomhead existing, like a lot of those people may have never really clicked with metal or hardcore,
Yeah, I think we got really lucky. A lot of bands, you'll have your crowd kind of grow up with you, and we had that too. But it was like, I felt like we were a lot of people's first show, and like I always thought our crowd recycled. We get new kids that were in high school now going to the shows, and it's like hard to get that in a lot of other band type situations, and it was just a blessing for sure. And I appreciate that. I like being the project that turns people onto the style. That means a lot.
Yeah, real talk, man. Because like I said, I just that always stuck with me. It was just, like I said, it was just so strangest thing at first, because it's like, oh yeah, you like that kind of music, it's like everything else, it's like, we all liked like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and whatever. That was like, everyone liked rap, but then it's like these kids are like getting into metal and hardcore, and then just now they're listening to Mushroom, now they're listening to Hatrix, now they're listening to In Cold Blood, now they're listening to 216 State of Conviction. Where it's like, it was just a really cool thing to see, like how people really got into it, like, and people that weren't really like one of us,
Yeah.
or like, they were like they were like on the wrestling team or something, and they're just now they're like it, now they're into it.
Yeah, true story. When I was in high school, I actually wrestled, and it was only ever like JV, but I went to Parma, and my team was undefeated. It just felt good to sit in the morning announcements and have them say all that stuff, and I just always loved music too, so I definitely went that route. But yeah, we always tried to mix it up too in Mushroomhead, where there was like 10 different styles on a record, because I think it's important to always be about change musically, instead of, I have nothing against Godsmack, but it all sounds like Godsmack. It's like, I mean, yeah, we sounded like Mushroomhead, but you try to have as many styles happening as possible, and just different delivery of vocal ideas and all that. So I think that was a big part of it too.
Yeah, very much so, man. So getting back to present day stuff, in the with the tour approaching, and with the other guys being over in Houston, um, do you meet up in like near Mansfield, and then like have a run, like a couple rehearsals, or are these guys just plug and play, like you can just show up and rip it?
Yeah, we have I have a pretty large discography, and it's always having songs added to it that they learn. And before I just gone down there to rehearse and get ready to start getting it all together with vocals involved and everything, they had about an hour worth of stuff. And then I have shows coming in September where we're going to do 75 minutes, and so we're adding more songs. But they were rehearsing the stuff for a decent amount of time before I got down there, and they're going to come up before ink for like a week at least, and we're going to jam again and just make sure everything's how it's supposed to be. But they're just pretty good musicians that have it together, and I'm happy to have that.
Right on. So with the lineup of the band, how is I saw the flyer you had, and it seemed like you have pretty it's not just like a 4-piece band. It seemed, if I had to guess, or maybe there's like 2 guitar, keys, bass, drums. How is the what's the orchestration of the band?
Yeah, that's what there is. And then there's I sing, and then I have either 1 or 2 other guys singing other parts, and the first record is going to include that as far as the different vocal elements happening. And most of the shows will probably just be another singer and I, but there will be sometimes when it's 3 of us. But that's what it is: 2 guitars, bass, drums, and keys. Otherwise,
very cool. And then what goes into the having a lengthy set like that? Do you have the is a drummer running a track, and then so then you would have sort of like interlude, like maybe like a synth type interlude, or is everything sort of like laid out to a grid, or how does that work for you guys currently?
Well, what I want to do is offer a different set basically every night. So there are some backing tracks just for the elements that aren't an instrument that's on the stage at that time. There will be shows where we actually have outside musicians. Everything on my record that is a unique instrument is played by a pro. That the notes of the song, or however it's sent to them as the notes, and they play it. And there will be times where those people are actually on stage. I would rather not have a keyboard just play all the sounds. I'd rather have the instruments when possible. And it's more or less like anything. I want to bring in instrument that's not normal to heavy music. It's going to be a part of it. But yeah, I mean, it's like elements of the way Mushroom O was set up, but still different on its own.
And then as far as including those Mushroom Head songs, are there particular songs that that we can say that you would include, or would you prefer to let that sort of be exclusive to, like, well, you come to the show and you'll find out? Like,
I mean, there's the classics that will be mixed in. They probably won't be every single night, but they'll be thrown in along the way. But I want to do more deep cuts and things that I sang very little live, and I want to cover like my whole discography, not just Mushroom Head. I'm gonna do some Hatrix and maybe even some Purgatory, and This is the third version of Jeffrey Nothing, so there's even a lot there.
Yeah, man. I admittedly, and you could probably tell by a lot of the questions I'm asking, I know you most from Mushroom Head, Hatrix, Purgatory. But yeah, in preparing for the show, I definitely made a point to listen to, the newer material that you have, and yeah, just like Corey that I shouted out at the beginning from Fistula. I mean, you have a immense catalog of music. So,
yeah, there's just a few, but yeah, I wanna always have it be something different. I think that's really important, to not be a carbon copy of the last show or last week's show, or if it happens every once in a while, because we haven't brought in everything yet. There will be times when there's rarely a identical show to anything else we've done.
I truly commend you for that. As I remember going to see Iron Maiden, a year apart. Maybe it might have even been 2 years apart, and it was just like the identical set and no deep cuts, and when they played Running Free, it was like the same like little like live version of it that they've been doing for so long. And I think, to each their own. I mean, some mega fans of Iron Maiden might say, well, that's just how it's supposed to be. They're supposed to be consistent. But I was like, man, like, I'd like to hear some more songs about Peace of Mind, or I'd like to, so I think that's awesome that you're making it a point to not just run the same set I mean, for sure, a lot of people are doing that, and maybe they should, if they're a younger band or they're sort of finding their footing. But
yeah,
I mean, for you might have, if you might do a show in Cleveland, and then you might be in like Pittsburgh the next night, and there's a good chance that some people may go to both shows, right? So I think that they would be very appreciative of that. You know?
And just from past experience, there's nothing. It's like emotionally hard to just watch a crowd be so excited, and then you're doing basically the same set, and you just watch them look down and kind of bum out. And I don't want to see that anymore. I want to give them something they didn't see if they were at the last show.
Respect for that. So in going through all these, different eras, and representing them in the current show, I would have to imagine, for the musicians involved, there's some switching out of guitars and like different tunings.
Yeah, I didn't really know, but there's some kind of gadget they have that will switch the tuning on your guitar through a pedal. And
fact.
The only one that didn't do that, as far as my last few rehearsals, was the bass player. He had to actually switch instruments, but the guitarist could do it.
True, man. Yeah, we do live in that world. There is, I mean, if as long as it's all in drop D or standard, and then you could, there's definitely, you can just have different presets that would be in a lower tuning and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. Hey, well, that's smart, and honestly, I think when it's live and it's so loud, I think, we all, like a lot of guitar players, and they want to really be against that, but you also want to see a good show, and to have all that go smoothly, if you can just change it on the pedal really quick, I think that might be the best move.
I mean, changing guitars is easier when it's warm out. When you're in the cold, it's a matter of how insulated the room is, or you're going to be tuning a lot more.
True. Yeah, and then as far as like the crew around you, do you have is there someone that would come out with you to like a guitar tech and yeah, any other like auxiliary members?
I mean, we're a work in progress. We're lining up that kind of stuff. There's nobody set right now. We may do a little bit ourselves till we have some money coming in as far as that part. But it'll all be a pro deal and not really hiring at the moment, but if somebody comes that makes perfect sense, then that's a different story.
For sure. Yeah, you know, one thing I've noticed is and just like some people I've made friends with, like some of these guys are in bands and then they'll also tech.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of these guys Matt and Mike, who are in Sworn Enemy, they tech for bands too. Like they'll tech for Biohazard and stuff. So I thought that was really cool because,
Yeah,
man, if you have a guy who's like been in your shoes and like played so many gigs and like not that I think the person that's like strictly a guitar tech isn't going to do a great job too, but it's like it sort of like adds to it, right? Like you're just like, man, this dude's really like knows what he's doing, plus he's been in the same position, you know, playing in front of so many people. And
yeah, that can be a blessing for sure.
But you know, man, if you're a ripping guitarist and you can't even change your own strings, I don't know, there's something off there, right?
Yeah.
you gotta learn, you gotta know how to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
So the tour starts. I wanted to shout out really quick before I forget, because I know that I don't want to get this wrong. I want to say you're playing at the Foundry, and I believe Rustfed is opening, and they were on the show before.
Yeah.
Are you friends with the guys in the band?
I don't really know of them.
Okay.
I'm not really out in the scene much. I used to be way more, but I look forward to checking them out.
Yeah, they're very active guys, and very, you know, cool and down to earth. Joe Lowry, who plays drums for them, he plays in Nunslaughter too.
Yeah.
So he's just like, you know, he's always busy.
Yeah.
And then we had their bassist and vocalist V and Eric. They were on the show.
Mm-hmm.
They were like one of the second people I ever interviewed.
Yeah.
On this show or in my whole life. So yeah, shout out to Rustfed. And then from there, the tour, I guess that's maybe sort of like pre-tour. Am I getting that correct? But is that happening before you go to Mansfield?
No, Foundry is like toward the end, and we were originally going to end there, and then it's like, let's do another week or so. So we stay kind of Midwest, a little bit east, but it's right around the area, like not too far away. And then November, we're going to hit a lot of spots we haven't gone to yet, like out west, and then wrap around the country. So
you guys getting like all the way out to California on this run?
on the second one, yeah.
Excellent. Aside from incarceration, what's some other real big venues that you're going to be hitting on this one?
The September run, which isn't fully orchestrated, that's a lot of smaller festivals we're doing. I don't really know the cities off the top of my head, but they'll be announced relatively soon, I would imagine. And we kind of missed the deadline on a lot of bigger festivals for this year, but our agent's going to submit us for everything next year, so that'll be more the time to really get bigger stuff.
For sure. So, Yeah, I improvise these interviews, and that's a good and a bad thing, I guess, because it does lead to a more organic conversation. But then sometimes I have to stop and think for a second.
Yeah, I understand.
But anyway, aside from Jeffrey Nothing, you mentioned to me you have another project that you're currently music is being made for.
It's kind of shelved right now because, like I said, it's Tommy Church and I's project called Doom Candy, and he's taking a hiatus from doing anything live or other than what he's working on right now, which is him doing 99% of everything. So he's just kind of being more of a homebody around his family and making stuff and putting it out there.
Okay.
But hopefully it will come back out and be part of my touring band one day. But yeah, Doom Candy's kind of shelf right now.
Well, in the style of Doom Candy, would you say it's more like it's strictly like electronic drums, like it's in that vein, programmed?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did a couple of songs that way, and then we had a song called Undivided, which was more or less a Jeffrey Nothing song, but I just released it as Doom Candy. And then we have a song with Zardonic, the DJ. He had done a remix of one of our songs, so it's more like EDM or something, but it's still heavy, and we have a metal version of it, but they're kind of very similar. But I want to make as much music as I can. It's kind of when I feel the most alive.
Right on, man. So, in all these years of being a vocalist, how have you, kept your voice, to where you need it to be, and to continue to grow as a musician and release music? Are there things that you do, like, do you have like vocal warm-ups you do, or do you I know you mentioned just like exercise. I would imagine having a lot of breath is good, or like strong lungs, or what are things that is sort of like you've learned throughout the years and that have helped you to continue to do this?
Well, I mean, I've been sober from alcohol for over 8 years now, and that's a big plus. And I never smoke cigarettes, which is another big one. I'm kind of like a oddity. I don't normally warm up. I just rock, and I've been trying to do that a little more now, and I'm doing a lot of cardio exercise because it's going to be a lot of longer shows, not even from the start, but as time goes on. But I don't really have any routine so much. When I'm tracking, I'll just start singing, and as the track number grows, the performance gets better because I warm up kind of that way, concentrating on one song at a time. But I used to be able to hit way higher range, but I think in a lot of cases that goes away somewhat with age. But like I could sing Bon Scott in my sleep at one point, and now not really that thing. But I embrace where my voice is now. I like the highs I can do, and I like doing more in a lower voice for a good amount of time.
Yeah, I think that's like you said, that's just a natural thing in age, that the voice would be a bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully within the genre metal, tuning down sounds good.
Yeah.
on guitars, so
Mm-hmm.
that's always going to be an option, and
Yeah.
henceforth the music becomes even heavier.
Mm-hmm.
Do you are you strictly like self-taught in your singing, or have you like taken lessons across the way, or?
No, from as far back as I can remember. I sang everything ever on the radio, and I don't have a influence. I have hundreds, and every once in a while, a specific one will show up more dominantly. Like Ian Astbury is a name I hear a lot, but John Bush, just different people along the way really stuck in my brain. I sing what I feel more than knowing exactly what notes I'm singing, which is kind of strange. Bill Correct, you told me I sang in the key of Jeff, but I'm about 6 bands in now, and just about all of them have been on some form of a label or another, and I feel like I'm doing something right.
Yeah, man, 100%. And like I said, it's great to have you here, man. You know, it you know, just for myself alone, to, you know, ask you some of these questions and just share like my experience, you know, growing up with a lot of the music you put out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, to continue to inspire, you know, musicians in this area and anyone abroad, you know, that's going to hear this, particularly people who've been on this show. You know, I think it for sure it adds a degree of validity to this show that I just started doing on a whim, and now I've done like 15, 16 interviews.
Yeah.
You know, people, yeah, those guys will see it and they'll be like, yeah, hey, I was on that show too. You know, oh, Jeffrey Nothing's doing this show now. Hey, man, hell yeah. So, yeah, it's been a great talk here. We'll typically like do like an hour. You know, we're at like 57 minutes, but you know, we can certainly you know, we can talk as long as it feels right.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure, you know, that everybody that tunes into this, you know, as we've discussed, is just aware that you have new music coming out. Plenty of it that's, as you told me, it's just ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, that will be rolled out, and then that, you know, these tours are going to be happening from Cleveland all the way out to California. So, you know, make sure that you, you know, tap in with, you know, as all the regular stuff we're using, Facebook, Instagram, and if you're a fan of the band, or if you're, you know, you're just getting into this stuff, yeah, just tap in and stay tuned with Jeffrey Nothing, you know. Is there anything that, you know, you kind of wanted to just say, you know, like for fans that would be listening, and you know, just in general, you know, as we're starting to wind down?
Yeah, I have an online store. It's actually available through jeffreynothing.com. I have hats and patches on there, and I had a 2011-12 era, new psychedelia era merch for sale that I'm never printing again. That's also available up there, and there's going to be new stuff up there as well, like newer shirts and hoodies and stuff. And then my album I'm putting out by the fall, it's going to be called 2020 Sick, and just kind of like the state of the world address a little bit. But I really appreciate the fans' support over the years, and no band can do this without the fans, and I've been very lucky to have loyal ones and very supportive people, and I appreciate that more than I could ever put into words. And thank you all, and I hope everybody likes the new stuff. I love making music for myself, but when fans love it, it's like the whole reason I ever started coming true.
Well, definitely appreciate you putting out everything you have throughout the years. and keeping it going to this day. Glad that your health has improved, and that things are a lot of things are going to be happening, man, and they're ready to kick off. I think it's really cool the timing of this interview. I was able to get you to come in right before you're going out for all these dates, and very very appreciative of you being here, brother. Wish you all the best with the tour. I'd love to have you come back anytime you'd like, to share with how things have gone on tour, or coinciding with new releases.
I'd be glad to.
If the fellas from the band are in town and you want to have them come in with you, like I'll love it.
Sounds good.
So I feel pretty good about what we've been able to touch on tonight. I hope everyone that tunes in or listens after the fact on YouTube, Spotify, I hope you guys enjoy the interview. And we'll end off for tonight. Guys, keep it heavy out there. Go crank up some Jeffrey Nothing, some Hatrix, some Mushroom Head, some Purgatory, some Doom Candy, right? Yeah. Find it, crank it, man, and just be good to each other, all right? Cheers. We'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.